Good morning, beloveds. I was trying to get Sugar to make a cameo for you, and she wouldn't. And Rita's in here, but I don't know if I'm going to get Rita on camera either. So, she's headed for the window. So, and I really don't want to show you her best side, because that's what you would see if I turned the camera on her. All right. It is October 19th. Our title is, I am free to express all that God is. Our quote is, Ho, anyone that thirsted, come ye to the waters, and he that hath no money, come ye, buy and eat. Yea, come, buy wine and milk without money and without price. And that is Isaiah 55:1. In the realm of mind, there are no limitations save those which are self-imposed. In our everyday living, we seem bound by time, space, and money. Often, our health limits our living freely, or our hurts and pride keep us from pleasant experiences. Isaiah, like other biblical teachers, reveals to us the freedom of spirit. He tells us that there is a way of living mentally where we are unbound, unfettered, free. This is the same teaching which Jesus gave us in his concept of the kingdom of heaven being possible here on earth for those who will think rightly and aspire greatly. Freedom begins and ends in our consciousness. As we turn in thought to the unlimited possibilities of what we are in God, we begin to be freed from the limitations of matter and material laws. This must be done mentally, and we who love God do it and prove that freedom is a reality. I have faith that I am a citizen of the kingdom of God on earth. This kingdom is one of perfect mind, and all its perfect ideas now function in me, delivering me to greater good and greater service to my fellow man. I am free to select the good, the right, and the true, and I do this joyously, for my own Christ self urges me now to do just that. There is nothing to bind me, limit me, or make me afraid. God is the only real presence and the only real power, and I am the living representative of God. I freely express all that God is, and I love to do it. I am free. Praise God, I am free. I know the truth, and I have been set free to live wisely, lovingly, and justly. And now that I've read it, I have nothing. I have nothing. I have nothing. And some days I have nothing, and some days I have amazing, but I have Rita. I have Rita. So I can just let you listen to Rita purr for 5 minutes. It's a very soothing sound. I love it. Okay. Okay. I'm going to think about this for a minute. Because this is one of those where I've read it, and I didn't have the best day yesterday, and so that's not helping. Because I do say where your mental state is, that's going to affect how you read these, and so that's kind of where I'm at. I didn't have a good day yesterday. I didn't have a bad day, but I didn't have a good day, you know? And so he's got a line in here. Freedom begins and ends in our consciousness. As we turn in thought to the unlimited possibilities of what we are in God, we begin to be freed from the limitations of matter and material laws. So one of the things that Ernest is doing is he is acknowledging that matter has limitations and that there are material laws. And so we understand that. And where the freedom comes in is to realize that that is not who we are. The material form that we wear is not who we are. And when we remember that, that sets us on the path of freedom. Eventually we are going to leave these material vehicles behind. Because these are not who we are. These are not who we are. And when we remember that these are not who we are, then all of the things that limit us here, we realize that they don't limit us at all. So when we come here to this material plane, we agree to play by these material limitations and material laws. We agree to play by them. But it's not who we are. And when we realize that, this is not who we are, that sets us on the path of freedom. Because it also means that it's by setting us on the path to the freedom, by setting us on the path of knowing who we truly are, by reminding us that we have access to a power that's greater than this, it means that the limitations that we have accepted, we can push on. It means we can push on. Are we going to get completely away from the limitations of matter and the material laws? Maybe. I mean, I don't know. Humans may evolve past a whole lot of them. And then again, they may not. But we will eventually evolve past them, because we will eventually evolve out of them into another experience. And there will be different rules in that experience. And we'll learn those. So, but the freedom comes when in realizing that this is not who we are. So all of the things that people try to use to limit us in this form aren't who we truly are. And so then we can go, yeah, well, I'm not that. And then go on with our days. And so that's where that freedom starts. That freedom starts in knowing who we are and realizing that while we do have material limitations and we do have material laws, they only apply here. And they only apply to the degree that we agree with them. I'm a big believer in knowing all of I like to know the rules. I like to know the rules, because when I know the rules, then I know which rules I can bend, which rules I can break, and which rules I can follow. So, what Science of Mind is trying to teach us is, yes, there are rules to this material existence, but this material existence isn't all there is. And once we realize that this isn't all there is, and that this isn't all of us, that there's something of us beyond this, then we can play a little faster and looser with the rules. That's where healing comes in, because when we understand that this isn't who we are, this is a vehicle, and that we are greater than the vehicle that we are currently using, but we have access to a power that can, and I'm going to use the word manage, the material vehicle better than we have been, then we can push those limitations a little bit. We can reveal a wholeness that we weren't privy to before, and that wholeness will take root in the material, within the matter, and change the way the matter is working. Quantum physics will just blow your mind. Straight up, quantum physics will blow your mind. And that's kind of where this is. That's what Science of Mind was kind of tapping on the door of. Ernest said, okay, yeah, so we have this material world and we see these rules, but there's something beyond these rules. And the more we learn, the more we realize that these rules are, pardon me while I quote a very famous pirate, they're more like guidelines. So while we do want to follow them to a degree, occasionally we can break completely out of them and go, yeah, I'm not accepting this anymore. So, and that's the freedom. That's the freedom where we look at it, where we no longer allow the material to limit us, to no longer limit us. Because if you look at society, if you look at culture, if you look at religion, just in general, then there are rules. And which is one of the reasons why you frequently see me gender neutral this. Ernest was writing in a specific time, and that's it. And so I gender neutral it because as a woman, I feel limited when I'm using masculine language. So I gender neutralize it to free it up. Okay, to include everybody. And that's what we're talking about. That's what we're talking about. It's like there are rules, but sometimes the rules don't apply anymore, and we're following the rules out of habit. And so that's kind of, so we're knocking on the door of freedom. We're knocking on the door of freedom. And it comes down to remembering who we are. That this is a vehicle, not who we are. It's that divine spark within us that is who we truly are. And when we remember that, then a whole lot of the material rules that we let limit us, we realize that we don't have to anymore. We realize we don't have to anymore. If you follow David Bruner, he is a minister out in California. He's an amazing minister. Brewer? Maybe it's Brewer. I don't think there's an N in it. It's like I see his name almost every day. And he asks questions, and one day he asked, what is your, if you were to write an auto, what would be the title of your book for your autobiography? And mine was, They Said She Couldn't, So She Did. Because there have been a whole lot of times that I have been told, because I'm a girl, that I can't do this. And a whole lot of times that I went, watch me. And some of that is just sheer stubbornness. Pick you. It's like, don't limit me. And sometimes it was because I was playing in a field where they're not open to it. And so I went and found another field to play in. I.e., I was raised Catholic. Women are not allowed to be priests in Catholic. They're not allowed to be ministers. I didn't accept that. So I went and found a different field to play in and am a minister. Because women make fabulous ministers. So that's what we're talking about. It's like there are rules that we play by that we don't have to. And we do it out of habit. And we do it out of habit. And here I thought I didn't have anything to say, right? So I am free to express all that God is. And you don't have to express all that God is all the time. But know that all the time that you are expressing what God is. We are all expressions of God. How much do you want to express? Because frankly, most of the time, most of us are playing small. And okay, Isaiah's pretty wonderful. Go back and read Isaiah in context. I don't know what to do with this Bible quote. That's why it's like, if you want to know what a Bible, people take the Bible quotes out of context and then you're like, I don't understand. Go read it in context. Go read a few lines before, a few lines after, then you'll understand what it's talking about. And this is one of those where I'm like, yes. Which, by the way, Dana, I think I see you watching. Tom got over to the Goodwill and found both the Way and the book. So thank you for the tip. So, ho, everyone that thirsted, come ye to the waters, and he that hath no money, come ye, buy and eat. Come ye, or yea, come, buy wine and milk without money and without price. Stop playing small. Stop playing small. Just because the rules say you can't. Go back and look at the rules. We can't fight the law of gravity, and yet we do. So there's a lot of rules that we follow out of habit. Now, Do not take that as I'm firmly on board with public good. I follow the speed limit mostly. I admit to being a little bit of a speed demon. So I do follow the public good. But there are rules that I'm a woman. Don't tell me I can't because of my gender. It has nothing to do with my ability to do this, whatever it is. And it's the same thing for men. Frequently men are told, well, you're a man, so you can't do this. It's bull. It's bull. It's a habit. And those are the rules we need to break. And once we break those rules, freedom. We're further along on the path of freedom. So don't think just because I'm a woman and I'm like, yeah. No, men have the same problems, just on the other side. It's like there are certain things we as women are expected to do and we don't have to do. Same thing with men. All right, so in the realm of mind, there are no limitations save those which are self-imposed. It's like if you think you can't, you're right. If you think you can, you're right. Which side of the coin do you want to be on? And yeah, in our everyday living, we seem bound by time, space, and money. Often our health limits our living freely, or our hurts and pride keep us from pleasant experiences. That's true. Isaiah, like other biblical teachers, reveals to us the freedom of spirit. It's about knowing who we are. He tells us that there is a way of living mentally that we are unbound, unfettered, and free. So that's why I'm saying, go back to that line, which is Isaiah 55:1, and read a few lines before and after. This is the same teaching which Jesus gave us in his concept of the kingdom of heaven being possible here on earth for those who will think rightly and aspire greatly. You are a beloved child of God, in whom God is well pleased. If you believed that every moment of every day, what could you do? What could you do? So, which is why I say it every day. You are a beloved child of God. The only true limits that we have are the ones we impose on ourselves or the ones that we agree to. We agree to. Because like I said, I agree to public good. I agree to speed limits and things like that. I agree. And wearing clothes to a degree. And wearing shoes. I agree to the public good. Those are rules that I agree to. There are rules that I don't agree to. And I will not follow. And that's where the freedom comes. That's where the freedom comes. It's like, look at the rules in your life. Look at the rules that you have accepted. And decide how many of them have you accepted because somebody told you should. Look at the rules. Like I said, I was raised Catholic. I have a cousin who would make a fabulous minister, but he is Catholic and he fell in love and got married. It's a rule he agreed to. It was a rule I wasn't willing to agree to. I left the Catholic Church. It's a beautiful faith. So, all right. Freedom begins and ends in our consciousness. What are we willing to accept? What are we willing to push past? As we turn in thought to the unlimited possibilities of what we are in God, we begin to be freed from the limitations of matter and material laws. So he acknowledges that there are limitations in matter and material laws. But there are so many of them that we can push past. And so many of them that we've accepted out of habit. Occasionally we'll talk about race consciousness. It's always been this way, so it's always going to be this way until somebody goes, yeah, no. And then suddenly we see a new way. And that's what Jesus was. Jesus was a new way. Jesus came here and said, I do not accept this. There's another way. And his way was love. This must be done mentally, and we who love God do it to prove that freedom is a reality. There's a new way. There's a new way. And you can be a new way for you, and you can be a new way for all of humanity. That can be a lot of pressure, though. So start with being a new way for you. I have faith that I am a citizen of the kingdom of God on earth. These are power statements, treatment statements. Feel free to use them. And if any word doesn't resonate with you, feel free to change it. I do it all the time. Ernest would be okay with that. The kingdom is one of perfect mind. Perfect is whole. So it's a whole mind. Everything is included. And all its perfect ideas, again, whole, not necessarily flawless. We are allowed to make mistakes as we learn who we are. Perfect ideas now function in me, delivering to me a greater good and a greater service to my fellow human. When you are authentically who you are, you give people the freedom and the permission to be who they authentically are. And that is the best gift that we can give to humanity right now. To remember who they are. And to not be afraid to be who they are. I am free to select the good, the right, and the true. And I do this joyously, for my own Christ self urges me to do just that. We are born with that Christ consciousness already installed. And I'll give you a hint. The password to make that work is love. Always love. Always love. There is nothing to bind me, limit me, or make me afraid. God is the only real presence and the only real power. And I am a living representative of God. Can you go and look yourself in the mirror, look yourself in the eyes, and tell yourself that you are a representative of God? Because there are so many religions out there that like to tell us, because of the way we look, because of our gender, because of the color of our skin, that we're not representatives of God. Well, they're wrong. They're all wrong. They're all wrong. Every living thing is a representative of God. Actually, everything is a representative of God, whether it's living or not, because it's all made from God's stuff. But go, I challenge you, go look in your eyes and tell yourself, until you believe it, that you are a representative of God. I freely express all that God is, and I love to do it. I am free. Praise God, I am free. I know the truth, and I have been set free to live wisely, lovingly, and justly. And what does that look like? Go be your authentic self. Go be loving. Go be kind. Go be compassionate. Go show people that we don't have to live with those laws and we don't have to live with those habits, that there is another way. And we don't have to tell them so that we sound crazy. We just have to go live our lives. And when we live our lives and we're happy and people go, what does she know that I don't know? Then we can set them on the path to freedom. Then we can set them to the path on freedom. So what's the mission today? What's the mission today? The mission today is to express God by living authentically. By knowing who we are, by knowing that we are beloved children of God, in whom God is well pleased, knowing that we are made by God, of God, for God, that our existence here is to be who we are and to love one another, and to love ourselves. Because that's the second thing. That's the mission for today. But I also encourage you, as I always do, to do something loving for yourself, do something kind for yourself, do something compassionate for yourself, whatever that looks like. Whatever that looks like. Is it to take a nap? Is it to go for a ride? Is it to go for a walk? Is it to read a good book? Is it to listen to fabulous music? Is it to take a day off? Or is it to buckle down and do your best on whatever it is that you're doing today? Please do the loving, kind, compassionate thing. I encourage you to do it every day. And the reason behind that is because I want it to be your default setting. I want you to, in those moments when you need it the most, to be able to respond lovingly, kindly, compassionately to yourself. To yourself. Because we are human, having a material experience. And occasionally we're going to make mistakes. And I want you to be able to respond kindly to yourself when you do. And I want you to be able to create a bank of that so that you have it to share. To share with all those loving, to share with all of those other living beings that haven't gotten as far along on that path of freedom as you have. All right. I also encourage you to engage your mind and your body. I encourage you to go get a face full of sun, 5-10 minutes, first thing in the morning. It really does go a long way to resetting how your day will look. And as always, I encourage you to drink plenty of water. And open the windows of your soul. Allow that breath of heaven to remind you live in heaven now. Right here, right where you are. And all it takes is you looking for the good. Because when you look for the good, you find the good. When you find the good, it creates more. And that's the way it works. That's how we create a world that works for everybody. By knowing who we are and breaking those habits. All right, beloveds. I'm going to move into the process of my day. I'm going to let you know it is Tuesday. I think there's a class that's starting soon. But I don't think it's this week. It may be next week. I think it's on Tuesday. I'm not absolutely sure, so I'm going to encourage you to email info@creativelife.org. That newsletter will tell you what's going on when I don't have any idea, because it happens. And check us out on all the social medias. We are Creative Life Spiritual Center on YouTube and Facebook, and there's all kinds of great stuff on YouTube, and I've organized it into playlists to make it easier to find. And we are Creative Life Spark on Instagram and TikTok. God help us, we have an Instagram. Or a TikTok. I have nothing to do with the TikTok right now. And you can always check me out on the social medias. I am the Running Rev Ryan. Okay? So do what you need to do to make it a great day, an amazing day, a fantastic day, a marvelous day, a stunning day. I've been looking up synonyms, if you can't tell. A good day. A good day. And if that is too much pressure, simply have a day. Simply have a day. All right? Know that you're loved. Absolutely loved, just as you are. Just as you are. All right, Reverend David should be on Facebook Live around 5 p.m. with you. I will be back with you at 9 a.m. Have a great day, and I will see you next time.